Hi, Neil.
Hey, Precious, how are you?
I'm good. Welcome to another episode of
Yeah, we're
Tenet.
back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Right.
So we directly jump in.
How was the weekend?
Good. It's a weekend, so making final tweaks to the release. So hopefully today we're going to be releasing the divergence. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Oh yeah. I mean, we've been waiting. I think everybody at together has
Yeah,
been waiting.
yeah,
We've
waiting for
watched
this long time.
for
Yeah,
over a year. I
yeah,
honestly can't wait for this to go live. Yeah, I also did some stuff over the weekend. I mean, it was a lot of trying to catch up
yeah,
with
yeah.
some
And we did a
season.
master class. That was fun. I really enjoyed doing the master
The
class. Yeah.
masterclass. I mean, it was beyond my expectations. I didn't know this much to learn how to do the AI. I've been
Yeah,
getting feedback since Saturday. People have been
yeah,
texting me, "Oh, where can I learn more about this?" And
yeah,
I mean, I have a lot of new ideas for our community in the coming months. So if you're not part of our community, you should definitely join our Discord community.
yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
things going to happen going forward.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So
So
let me kick off. Yeah. So first thing I've noticed last week, so we usually cover like last 7 days, right? So in last 7 days, one of the most exciting release was Google's DeepMind Gemini 2.5 Pro. Okay, this is a brand new model. This is reasoning model as well. So the charts have been pretty wild. This model is performing exceptionally well, especially in coding capabilities. That's why we're covering this news. It seems to be outperforming. You know how I feel about benchmarks, but anyway, it's been outperforming competitors like GPT 4.5, which is I think one of the largest model. I was kind of surprised to see this one that it's actually doing even better than the Anthropic's Claude 3.7 Sonnet. So I don't know how Anthropic has done it, but Claude seems to be the best coding model out there.
yeah,
I typically rely on that too. It performs really, really well. Um, so apparently this model is doing really, really good. What interesting thing about this is that Google just made this free, which I think is wild a little bit. But
yes,
yeah, it's free for anybody to use. I think they have some huge API limit constraints, but anyone can. If you sign up for Google, you just can access this advanced model. Okay, one interesting feature of this model is that the context window is huge. It's 1 million token. And apparently it's
wow,
expandable to 2 million. Yeah, I don't know how you expand. I've got to play with this a little bit. Um, this opens up lots of interesting possibilities. So one of the hardest thing for building the agent for us was managing the context window. So we designed this agent to work on large code bases, right? So obviously
yeah,
you cannot copy the large code base, put it in a prompt and say, fix this problem, right? Because it will not fit into that context window. Um, but 1 million context window is huge, right?
yeah,
So you might be able to fit a reasonable size code base into one prompt and say, here is my code base, find the problem and fix it in one prompt, which I feel is fascinating. Um,
wow.
yeah. Google
That's a
has
very.
been doing amazing releases recently. I'm impressed.
I mean, I think I said in episode one that they are playing catch up, but right now I
Yeah,
think they are really, really coming up. Last week we talked
yeah,
about this whole canvas thing that they added in
that's right.
Gemini. Yeah,
Canvas, yeah.
always
Mhm.
every week we have something to say about Google. They are doing well.
That's true. I've been from episode one. We've been saying something. You're so true.
About
Something or
Google,
other
yeah.
about Google. That's kind of amazing. Here is a
All
link
right.
to that. There is a one more thing I wanted to add is Cursor already have support for this. I don't think Google GitHub Copilot has support for this, so you cannot select the model. But if you're using, I think in a couple of episodes back, we did mention that Google Gemini has a code assistant, which is also free. You can, it's an extension for your VS Code that has support for this. So you should be able to get this up and running very quickly.
Oh, yeah. So you guys, please do check it out. Yeah, check it out. I mean, it's going to aid. It's going to solve a lot for you. It's going to be a lot for you. All right. So let's talk about the most viral thing that happened this week. Everywhere on the internet, everybody's talking about it. If you check our cover for this episode, you're going to notice that something happened. I mean, I saw the tweet by OpenAI CEO where he came to say that, oh, you guys should stop generating the images. There is a lot of things going on.
Ghibli images. Mm-hmm.
Ghibli images. Everybody, he said, oh, chill with generating images. This is insane. Our team needs sleep. That was what he tweeted on Sunday. on Sunday. Yeah. He was.
I was addicted. I was addicted for it like 48 hours. So I was going through all my photo albums and converting them to Ghibli. It's amazing. I'm super impressed. It was fun. I feel like I was almost telling somebody that I would pay for a service like that, which will just take my photo album and convert it into Ghibli images and send me back. I'll pay for something like that.
I mean, personally, I think this is going to change a lot because there's this meme I saw where this hangman, people standing at the stake, they were about to be hanged, and someone said designers were saying, "Oh, this is not good. It should be regulated. What happens to artists? Nobody's going to buy arts again and all that." And developers were, guys, you're welcome. This is your first time.
Welcome to our club. Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
Because developers have been all having that, this, so it's going to. So yeah, I mean, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. So yeah, I guess you all already know that. So let's talk about something you don't know, something a bit more technical. Mm-hmm. Right. So Databricks introduced the test time adaptive optimization, which is called TAO. So basically what this thing does is that, the way we train models where we have to use, if you've done anything around AI and ML, you're going to, one of the basic things you will learn is supervised and unsupervised modeling models, where one part you have to label the model, and the other part you have to, unlabeled model and all those things. So this technique is called test time adaptive performance optimization, right? So it's actually talking about training, how you can train AI models without having them cleaning them up. You don't have to clean those models. You don't have to label them. I mean, all you need to do is just to take the model as they are and use it to fine-tune your agent or your model, anything that you are doing. So it combines reinforcement learning and synthetic training data. So this enables them to improve through practice. So which means that the more you give the model information, the more you are using it, the more you are giving it on trained model, on clean model, like maybe I should call it on clean model, the more it gets better. So it improves itself, right? So this model, the big picture for Databricks is that its approach is that it's going to have to kind of predict human preferences, right? So which means it's going to create a high quality synthetic data. So
interesting.
They've been testing it out. It has, demonstrated superior results, and it has also they've used it to test some financial models. They've used it to do a lot of interesting things, and
this is interesting because especially before O3 or DeepSeek came out, right? I mean, there was this notion of and I could be completely off here. So anyone who has a better understanding in this space, please correct us. But before this, reasoning models showed up with reinforcement learning. I was under the assumption, and we all were under the assumptions, like data is our limitation, right? I mean, unfortunately, we have one internet, right, in this planet. So we were essentially reaching the limit of all the data that we can find to train this model. Hence the synthetic data, right? Synthetic data is that we manufacture new data. Obviously, the challenge with synthetic data is that it could have biasness, and it's typically quote unquote not high quality data. So it's an interesting that Databricks is kind of trying to solve that, address that problem that, hey, we're going to create high quality synthetic data. That definitely solves a few problems in this industry. But on the other hand, with reasoning models coming in, what I'm hearing is that maybe data is not that of an issue anymore. It's how smart these models are getting about reason about what's right, what's wrong. Even with small amount of data, these models are performing really good, which is a trend that we are seeing now, that lots of small size models coming up, which are performing extremely well. So it's going to be interesting to see this space. Maybe we should dive into this some point later, because I definitely want to learn this, because we're going to get into the point, that, Precious, right? It's out of the box model. This is great, but now I want to make this model mine, right? Fine tune it to specifically how I want this to behave. So that's kind of interesting. What is this voice and presence and realistic thing that you got here?
Yes. So it's called Sesame AI, right? So you might have to type it in Google and then click on their website link. For some reasons, when I type sesame.com, it doesn't take me there, right? So a friend shared this with me some weeks ago, I think 3 weeks ago. She listened to this podcast and she was like, yeah, Precious, you should check this out. This is really interesting. I forgot about it until yesterday. I went to our chat on WhatsApp and I checked it out. And then, so these guys, they believe that AI is going to get more personalized, right? So you can say AI are already personalized right now by saying that, that we have things like, what's this Apple thing? This have Apple AI Home Assistant, what's it called? Can't remember what it's called. Sorry, I don't plan. So we have this model, this particular AI tool. They believe that AI is going to get more personalized. Now, they built this eyewear, so you wear it, the AI listens to you, so you basically move around with this AI, digesting everything you are doing for the day. It sees what you see, it hears what you hear. And to be fair, the eye and the ear, these are like the two best ways for you to take data in. I mean, even as human beings, you take data in through your eye and your ear, right? Unless if you want to do sign language. I mean, the other kind of form. But most of the information we have, they come in through the eye, and we also hear them. So now they use this information to create. So which means you just need to say, oh, I spoke with this person by 3 a.m. Can you remember what we talked about? And then the AI goes and gives me like a rundown of all the things that we talked about, right? So these guys, they are hoping that AI is going to get to that level, and they are working towards it. So this is still futuristic. They've not launched anything yet. Now, but currently on their website, they have this AI voice to text thing, which is something I think they are about to release, or even they release like a small part of it, right? So an AI voice to text model, or conversational model, that it's very close to human beings. So I tested it this afternoon. I took a video and I posted it on WhatsApp, and everybody has been asking me. My message box is full right now, and everybody's like, "Oh, what is this? Why does it talk like a human being?" It pauses, it takes a pause and says, I mean, I think you should do it this way. The way it talks like a real human being, very close to very close to the conversation we're having right here. If I do a podcast that's AI, you won't know it's AI. I'm basically just going to ask it questions. It gives me answer. I ask another question based on the answer it gave me. It is very smart, and it is very, very cool, right? So if you want to check it out,
do they have APIs for developers to use, or?
Yeah. So I think they have an API, a lightweight. They have this API that they are working on, a voice
Okay,
AI model they're working on. Yeah, so
nice.
developers will be able to integrate and be able to build a more human-like um, vision to speech, voice, speech to speech models that are going to get more better, right?
Mm.
So I mean, I can't wait for something like this to launch. I am interested in what they are doing, and I'm going to keep a very close. I'm going to keep an eye on them. Anytime they launch something new, I'm also going to like, okay, it's interesting. I really think it's interesting. So they use what they call patent detection model for speech prediction and synthesis, right? So basically, what it does is that it's very fast, and then in its response time, it's very fast in the response time. So I can be saying something, he's saying something at the same time, and we are both saying, "Oh, okay, you go first." The way we have conversations here, right? So it does something like that. So, and they use this latent detection model to be able to get something like that, right? And this AI adapts both to your voice tone, to how you talk. It even filters out noise and stuff that are coming from your environment. Yeah. So yeah, you can check it out. I think the link is already in chat in the description in the chat. So just check the chat and you can be able to check it out. All right.
That sounds very interesting. There are lots of stuff happening here, so we're cool to see. Okay, so I have a couple of this is a bit controversial one, but I think it's worth mentioning, especially it's relates to software developers. So maybe a few weeks back, Chungin Lee, sorry, I hope I'm saying your name right. He's a grad student from Georgia Tech, I believe. He is he built a tool called Interview Coder, which is sort of a way to hack your tech interviews. So the way I've stopped giving interviews, so I don't use it anymore. I take interviews now. I'm sure
Yeah.
the other end someone is using something like this. What interesting thing about this tool is that lots of coding interview challenges now happens through Zoom calls, right? They don't send you home assignments anymore, because the idea was home assignments you can cheat, right? So they usually call you for an hour interview, give you a challenge, especially all the top tier companies in US used to. I'm sure they do that still. They will schedule a 1 hour interview with you with a technical lead, senior software engineer, and then the engineer is going to be asking you some technical questions, and you have to solve it while sharing your screen, right? That's typical setup. So most of the solutions used to be from LeetCode, and you know my true feeling about LeetCode and all these programming puzzles. So we built this tool which kind of sits invisibly. So even if you share your screen, the interviewer will not see you're using this tool here. And the tool is smart enough to hear what the problem is and automatically solve it for you. Okay.
Wow.
So yeah. So automatically it does behind the scene, and he had some videos in here, obviously, where he demonstrates that I just got an offer from Amazon using this tool. Now, this tool got
Wow.
lots of buzz recently, and lots of controversy also. So one of the things that I wanted to truly highlight is, and he got some issues with his universities also, because lots of people are not happy that he released this tool.
Yeah,
But
they will
I
be.
agree with his insights, though, right? That the way we typically our interview process, selection process, are not up to date with what's happening with AI. With the rise of AI tools, I mean, most likely the LeetCode challenges, all this leaderboard that we are saying, right? Gemini 2.5 and Claude, these tools are extremely good at solving this problem, or getting there almost at human quality. And it's going to be very common for these folks, even if you hire them to work on your company, you're going to expect them to use AI tools, correct, to solve their problems.
Yeah.
Um, So we have to, as an industry, kind of step back and think through that we need to change our selection process. And I know this cheating in interviews is not a good thing. I'm not encouraging people to do that. But someone is to stand up saying that this is not bulletproof. Anyone can come in and do this for you. It proves nothing.
Yeah.
So I
I
thought
mean,
that was
that was part of the whole idea behind Street Cred on Tublian. So if you're on Tublian, you can
correct.
check out
Correct.
this.
Correct.
I mean,
So
the interview.
on the flip side, then that begs a question. Okay, if the LeetCode is not doing 1 hour Zoom call and coding interview, where people can use this is not a right approach. What is the right approach, right? And it could
Yeah.
vary based on what you're looking for. But I think one of the good metrics would be is that have you done something in the past, right? Show me your projects. Or what are you
Yeah.
doing on weekend? I think this questions have lots of higher signal versus noise ratio, can give you a
Yeah.
general idea about how the candidate is. So
Yeah. I mean, I think it was the CEO of Replit who was talking about the weekend that, I mean, I think we talked about it in episode 2 about if you should still learn how to code or not. But then he said something about hiring and how we interview people and how, you know, the way we do all these things, we all know it's broken, but then it's about finding new ways. And he talked about how people who thinks, people who had willingness to learn, people who are adopted quickly, who those people are going to be like top of the list for recruiters. I mean, I got into this whole conversation this weekend about how someone came online to say that there are no talents in Nigeria, and then it was a very big. I made a response, and everybody was talking about
yeah, I
it.
mean,
So the way
so
we
our
hire is
role, yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
the way we hire is broken, and I feel like people
Yeah,
that
yeah,
recruitment companies need to come together on a table and figure out, how
yeah.
do we solve. AI is getting into the mix. People are, how do we
Yeah,
solve the problem of discovering talent and learning, you know,
yeah,
even how we teach
yeah.
people. Yeah, you were saying.
I think this is not me. I think someone else said that while I think we passionately have this conversation a few times on social media. I personally did. I don't know who said that, and I thought I liked that better. I mean, and one possible way could be, I mean, obviously, my interview process is very different, right? I usually hire somebody from our community. I watch them from the distance, see what work they're doing, so have a fair good understanding what the candidate is or was. I mean, I still make mistakes, but that is a pretty good indicator. So I don't do coding tests. So sometimes I do just to make sure technically that person is
So
solid. I assume that they're using AI to do that. If they're not, why not, right? That's a red flag for me. But there
yeah,
is another way to think about this is that maybe the interview process could be go ahead and fire up your AI tool, right? Just make it obvious that you're going to be using it anyway. Might well as to use it in front of me. And I want to see
yeah,
how you are navigating this because that's an important skill to
yeah,
have, right? And then
yeah,
ask the question, okay, this tool is generating this code. What do you think about this code? Is this the right way to do it? I think that's a much better because that's what you have to figure it out
yeah,
because that's where decision making, critical thinking comes into the picture. What are the pros and cons of this solution? I think that's where developers going to end up anyway.
yeah.
Could be a better way to solve this. So this leads down to, I don't know how much time it could be, it leads down to our main story, which I believe is very much aligned with what we just talked about. Now, I kind of assume everybody uses AI. I mean, it's very common. The numbers are up there. I mean, it's part of our workflow now. That's a reality, right? Now, what I want to focus on today's main story is this is a great article by Adi Osmani, who is I think a Google engineer. He's part of the Chrome dev team. I'll share the link here. He made a post. This is not like new. I think he published in January, but it popped on my radar, and I thought that was useful to talk about at least. Is we are getting into the point where we're starting to see some patterns of how AI is integrated in your coding workflow, and I'm just going to highlight that, and I'm going to echo some of the stuff that I use personally. So there is obviously this different use cases of how people are using AI, right? One common use case is these are our bootstrappers, right? 0 to MVP. So if you want to do rapid prototyping, obviously there are tons of interesting tools out there like Bolt V0, where you can drop in your Figma design and within hours or maybe days, you will have a full-blown working application. Don't ask me what the quality of the code is, probably not that great, but it's great for validation, right? You had an idea within a weekend, you had an app running, now you can go to your customer, say, is this what you want, right? Is this going to help you? I think that used to take months. I wish when I started Ghilbli Anie I had tools like this, because I definitely would have used that, right? That's not me, obviously, but there are lots of non-technical founders are using this. Me is this iterations, right? This is AI is part of my daily sort of workflow, right? I mean, I use that constantly. When I'm stuck with a problem, I drop in an error, and that's how I'm interacting with it. Essentially pair programming with it. The interesting challenges that we have to think through is this idea of when you're asking, it doesn't matter whether you're asking this your AI to complete a function or a file or an application, there is this 70% problem. Maybe it's an 80% problem now as the models is getting better. So your AI gonna take your application 80% there, right? Exactly 80%, not 100%, 80%. Then last 20% becomes really, really challenging. It's challenging for AI. So this is where your expertise comes in. I mean, that's what we keep saying, that I don't foresee that's happening when people say that we don't need software developers anymore. I kind of cringe a little bit, because maybe in the future, but we're not there yet. So there is this aspect of that 15 to 20% that you have to come in, which brings lots of interesting challenges, though. The challenges is that for beginners, that might be overwhelming, because there is this knowledge paradox, right? It was cool to type in your stuff in a prompt and get an application. Now your application is not running or not completely there. Then you have this leaky abstraction. You immediately have to jump into the code and figure out what's exactly happening here, right? So you still need to have an understanding. So when people say, should I learn programming? You have to learn programming. Otherwise, you'll not know how to fix that problem or even identify the problem. Even if you want the AI to solve your problem, you still have to describe the problem, right? So that is kind of important. Does that make sense to you, Precious?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because this
Okay.
question of software development, AI generation code, AI generating code has been everywhere. Basically, I listen to a lot of AI podcasts. You listen to two of them, they must have to talk about AI generating code and the impact on software development. Everybody's talking about it. Like everybody. This is the
Yeah.
third week we are still talking about it.
Yeah.
This
So there
is
is three. Yeah, so the three pattern. I'll wrap it with that. I mean, there is obviously lots of stuff in here. Three main patterns that kind of evolve the usage, right? The first pattern is like an AI first draft pattern. And what that means is that I do that a lot when I'm stuck with a problem or trying to explore the solutions, right? What is out there? What's the best way to do it? So this is like you ask AI to create an initial version of you describe the problem, it just creates an initial version. If you don't like it, you go to the option B, right? But that's one typical pattern. We did that actually for the BizDev agent recently. I'll be honest with you, it generated like 500 lines of code. Is the code great quality? No. Does it work? Pretty good, to be honest. I'm sure there are edge cases that it doesn't work. But I was thinking about stepping back and thinking I would have never written 500 lines of code to do this. One, that felt like very time consuming to me. And this was part of the code base. I'm not really passionate about solving this problem. So I would have never selected the solution, but thanks to AI, now I have a new solution that I can use that I would have never used before. So that's kind of an interesting side effect of that. There is another pattern that is I mean, obvious, but interesting to mention is a constant conversation pattern. Always engage AI, always do that. And these are very segmented interaction. That means I'm still hands-on coding, okay? Now I feel like, hey, all right, we should check if the file exists, or we should filter out these things are not there. Then I involve the AI. Hey, can you add a snippet of code for this? Like constant interaction. The third, but probably the most important, is trust and but verify pattern. This is very, very important. That is, even if AI generates the code, that 500 lines, I still went through and skimmed through, just make sure it logically makes sense to me, what it did. So you always have to verify, inspect critical path, because these codes are buggy. The 500 line code was not correct. There were bugs in it. I have to iterate to fix them. So that kind of testing and security audits becomes really, really critical.
I mean, we are launching our own AI assistant too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and I think also this is like a very important conversation. And I like the way you broke it down into 3 parts, right? And I think the most interesting part, which is what everybody is quickly adopting, or maybe the most popular, is the one where you run the prompt, generate the initial idea, and then you iterate, right? Everybody is jumping on it. Most developers are talking about it. I think that process, I mean, it gives you the initial idea instead of you spending time sitting down to wait for ideas to come or for you to open your laptop and start writing code from somewhere. It gives you like a boilerplate sort of, and then you build from there. Right? So I think, I mean, there can be other questions like ethics, like security, and all those things, because some companies that some people are saying, oh, if we give our code to AI, the AI can give it to someone else.
And this thing about this highlights also a very important aspect of it, that lots of, especially people who are outside the industry, thinks that software engineering is all about hands-on keyboards, right? We are always writing code. That's not true.
Yeah.
Coding is probably a small aspect of it. That also means that since some of this could be automated now, you actually have, and it's just a good thing, have more time to think about the details, attention to details, robust testing, think about user experience, or even do a better design. So we'll have more time to think about all this craft we need.
Yeah. Right. That this is a very interesting one. This is like a very interesting perspective, because on Saturday he walked up to me and told me that the best people, the people that AI is not touching at all, are front-end developers. I was like, what? He said, yeah, the front-end developers are going to survive AI. And I'm like, okay, can I understand your train of thought? Then he said, AIs are very terrible at creating designs, so we'll always have our jobs. And I was like, oh, it's fine, enjoy your job.
And then it's not about being terrible. I mean, whenever people say this is not good, I always add it's not good yet. This tool's going to get better and better. Right? What I'm trying to understand is that I think our role becomes, and we iterated this, we don't have to probably, more roles becomes is that we probably have to take a higher ground here a little bit. And as an, instead of creator, become an editor role, assume an editor role, where all this feeds coming in, code generation and tools and all that stuff, you as an editor kind of figure out what makes sense where before you publish, right? So I think that's how it becomes a role. So also fascinating. Here is the link. It's definitely worth reading. Please do have that. Sorry, here is the link. All right, that's kind of.
Yeah.
Are we past time? I want to make sure we're within 30 minutes. Well, how much we?
Yes,
we 34 minutes. Crap. Yeah. Okay. All right. Have a wonderful week. Thank you so much for joining. Let us know what you like about this podcast. What else we should cover?
Yeah, guys, let us know what you love about the podcast. We like to see your comments. We love your like and your views. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.